What's going on, guys? Sports Terminator coming at you with another video, and today I want to talk to you guys about why the Toronto Raptors, the red hot Toronto Raptors, are a different team than last year and that they can go deep into the playoffs. Now, like I said, the Raptors are red hot right now. They've won 15 of their last 16 games and currently sit first in the Eastern Conference. Since the start of the season, I could tell that the Toronto Raptors were playing a different style of basketball and a winning style of basketball, and that they were better than what all the ESPN people were saying. I will give you my 5 points of why I believe they have made this huge change to become such a successful team and have their best chance of winning a title since making the playoffs 5 years ago. The first point I like to make is that the Toronto Raptors are taking more three-pointers. This is crucial, as with the league developing into more three-point shooting, you need to become a three-point shooting team out of necessity. Last year, their three-point stats, they made around 8.8 threes, which ranked for 21st in the league, 24.3 attempts per game, which was 22nd in the league, and averaged 36.3%, which is middle of the pack, 13th in the league. Compare that to this season, where they're making over 11 threes per game, which is 7th in the league, almost 8 attempts more at 32.5, which is ranks 5th in the league, and a 35.7% clip, which is around 20th in the league. Now, these stats have gone up and down a bit, but they've been relatively consistent all year long, and I think this is a direction you need to go in. If you see all the best teams like Houston, Golden State, they're shooting a lot of threes, and you have to obviously make the threes. But in a league that is developing so much and taking three-point shots, you can't be afraid to shoot it, and the Raptors haven't. The second point I like to make is that the Raptors are passing the ball more and having less ISO plays. Last season, almost all the plays surrounded with Lowry and DeRozan creating for themselves, as they ranked last in the league with 18.5 assists per game. Now, compare that to this season, they're averaging close to 24 assists per game, a big increase, and they're in the top 10 in assists now, ranking around 7th in the league. It's two different teams. It's the starters, the bench, they're all passing it. There's more threats, so this having less ISO and passing the ball more has been huge for the Raptors this season. The third point I'd like to make is that the Raptors have been dominant on both sides of the ball this season. And I believe that's because of their hard work and their culture change of being the underdog, having a chip on their shoulder, have Dwayne Casey saying, "We can do this. We are going to the finals. We are a great team. We are as good as Houston and Golden State." If you look at their last year's offensive and defensive ratings, last year they were still a really great offensive team, ranking 6th in the league in offense and 8th in the league in defense. So still a top 10 team in both. Now compared to this season, 4th in the league offense with 3rd in the league defense, which is a great improvement. They're top 5 in both categories, and they're the only team besides Golden State to be in both categories, which is really impressive. They have the second best point differential in the NBA as well, ranking around 8.8 plus minus, which is awesome. I've noticed they've been handling their business with all the bad teams, almost blowing them out every single time, which has been a great relief for Kyle and DeMar, which I'll get in a second. And yeah, they're just dominant on both sides of the ball. This is the most dominant Raptors team there's ever been. This next point I like to make kind of relates to my second point, is that the Raptors are relying less on DeMar and Kyle to win games. So last year, Kyle Lowry played 37.4 minutes per game, compared to this season when he's only playing 32 minutes per game. The same with DeRozan, playing 35 minutes, going to 34 minutes. A small decrease, but still a decrease. This has allowed Lowry and DeRozan to be well rested and at their best on the court. Despite a dip in stats and field goal percentage, I have noticed both players have been huge for us this season, even though they have been less relied on. The last and final point I like to make is that the Raptors bench has become elite. No, I did not forget about the Raptors bench. The Raptors bench has been phenomenal this season. A big reason why they haven't relied on Lowry DeMar is because of this bench. When their team is struggling, the second unit comes in and gives a spark with people like Siakam running down the court. He never stops running, and the ball is humming. Van Vliet has become most improved player of the year on the Raptors. CJ Miles is a threat from 3. DeLon Wright has had a good season. Everyone trusting each other, and not many teams have this many players that they can trust on. And they are all averaging around 6 points per game, which has never been done before. Also, if they can maintain that, if that has a meaningless number or a great stat, I think that's a great stat in my opinion. And this bench has become not obviously as good as the starters, but it has blown some other starting units out of the water on other teams. And this is what made the Raptors so deep. And I believe if the Raptors are going to move past with their playoff struggles, even though they haven't, if people don't mention Houston and OKC, how they haven't gone to the finals. But I believe with the East wide open, with Cleveland not having a great team, even after those huge trade deadline they had, they've been kind of mediocre now. I don't know. It is LeBron James, but I don't know if he can carry them all the way to the finals again with the team he has. He doesn't really have another player to be relied on, with Kyrie Irving not being on the team anymore. He's the only player that can take over a game on their team. Kevin Love, I believe, is more of a complimentary player, and he doesn't really take over the game, so they're going to be heavily relying on LeBron. And the Celtics have a really good team too, but I just don't feel their time is now. With Gordon Hayward next year, I think they'll be a huge threat to the Raptors and possibly be better than them, most likely actually. And they have a lot of good players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're only getting better as well, but this is the best chance the Raptors have. They just came off a win from Houston, which I was there. The crowd is electric. That was a great game. And yeah, I felt the Raptors were in that game the whole time. They had a big lead in the first quarter. Houston obviously came back, and they've been right there with Golden State as well. This Raptors team, they've been to the playoffs before. They're unselfish, and I believe this is their best chance to at least make it to the finals and make some noise and prove that Toronto is not just some bummy city in Canada, that we are a serious team to be reckoned with. That's all for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry I haven't posted in a week. I've had a kind of a bummy knee that's made me really unmotivated to make stuff, but I just really had to get this out here, and hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be making videos in the short future.
I'm tryna fuck you and your bestie, yeah. Chopper with the skull, so do not test me, yeah.